Welcome to the Author Spotlight Show. Today we shine a spotlight on a remarkable woman whose story and insights fill the pages of the #1 best-selling book, Voices of the 21st Century: Wise Women Bringing Light to the World. The cover on this book features the lotus flower, representing the light and transformation that this flower brings. The lotus flower blooms in darkness, a testament to its resilience and growth. Hi, my name is Gail Watson. I'm founder and CEO of Women Speakers Association, and today we have the privilege of introducing to you an extraordinary woman, a visionary whose words not only leap off the page, but also dive deep into the heart of empowerment, resilience, and hope. Her journey is a testament to the strength found in the vulnerability of the power of overcoming and the beauty of rising anew, much like the lotus itself. So join us as we explore her unique contributions to the world, uncovering the wisdom she shares and the light she brings into our lives. So welcome to the show, international best-selling author Jan Dunk.
Hi, thanks, Gail. That's great. What a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much.
Well, you're a wonderful person, and I have to say I really enjoy what you share in this book. And I know there's many other stories. You bring together 47 women from around the world sharing their stories as well. But as I read yours, that kid, um, it really touched me because it's something that I think many of us can relate to. So as we explore, as you put it, the toughest job on the planet, being a parent, let's talk about what inspired you to share this story.
I think it's a combination of both being a parent and a teacher. I was a teacher for almost 20 years, and seeing both sides of that fence meant that I could understand what parents were going through when they were the parent of that kid. And I could also, as a teacher, see the frustration or the difficulties and the work that went into incorporating every student and making sure that every student had a place and had a place that was safe and a learning environment that they could use. So it is a unique view in the sense of you can see both sides of it. And also it's one of those ones where I wanted to say to people, we jump to judgment so quickly. And if we take a moment and we step back and we really think about and assess what the situation is, the judgment maybe isn't needed, or maybe there's more empathy needed, and understanding that you haven't walked that mile, you haven't walked that journey, and everybody's journey is different. Even, as a parent and as a teacher and as having different students, those are all different, and it's a matter of how can you look at those differences, but also the similarities and say, hey, what can I do to help out a situation that might be arising or might be in a classroom or in my kid's classroom or in the school that I teach in. It doesn't really matter. It's a wide range of people who could think about it in those terms.
Right. And I mean, you really take this from a personal point of view of being a parent of that kid. And which I love how you put that. But you talk about being a parent as the toughest job in the world. I'd like to just do a shout out there to you as a teacher and to all the other teachers out there that I think that's also an equal
Yeah.
um, tough job that you do, and you're balancing both and having to bring that compassion and understanding into it as well. You throw in that layer of, recently we had lockdowns a few years ago, and what's the effect of that? So as we look at your personal story of that kid, what do you want readers to take away from it?
I think it depends on what side of the fence you're on, but you can take away very similar things in the sense that you can take away when you have a situation and when your kid has that kid in their classroom, and you sit there and you stare off and you watch that parent pick that kid up, and you whisper under your breath, oh, that's so and so, and he did that the other day, or she was, did this to my kid, or this is what happened, my kid came home and told this story. That parent already knows that story. They know what their kid has done. The school has told them, maybe the kid has told them, maybe a sibling has told them, and they're dealing with it. 99% of parents out there are wanting the best for their kids, and they want them to do well, and they're trying their best, right? They have a lot to balance, especially when you have a kid who has different learning needs or has differences in how they're, neurotypical or not. And so when that parent is making that judgment, it just makes life so much harder. The life is already hard, and you don't need that judgment on you to be, you're not trying hard enough. You already think that about yourself, right? You're already trying as hard as you can. And every parent has come to that situation. And I think parents of kids with different needs are they get it, right? We are out there and we're trying. And what you tried yesterday may not work today. And it did yesterday. And the same thing happens tomorrow. Maybe it will work. And so you need to have that empathy. You need to have that understanding that no kid is going out in the morning and saying, I'm going to be a ning nong at school today and I'm going to cause trouble. They get up and they want to do good. And in a lot of cases, they're terrified about going to school. They have anxiety. They have meltdowns because going to school is stressful, because they are laughed at or they're pointed at or they're in trouble again. And maybe they don't understand why the rule is in place. Maybe they don't understand what part of the rule they've broken this time. And so you have to kind of understand that that kid is really not trying to be a pain. Um, are they doing those things? Probably, but most of the time it's not intentional. Most of the time it is a way of that child, a behavior is a way of speaking, and it's a way of saying, I'm not coping in this situation. What is it that a need isn't being met? And what need isn't being met? What don't they have to be successful? And that's sort of the end of the teacher end of it, of, hey, this kid is being miserable today, and what is it that they don't have to be successful, right? What is it that they need that they are not receiving from me, from the environment, from their friends, from the world at large, whatever it is that day? um, and understand that getting to school may have taken a lot. As an example, my own son, he was in grade one, little guy. He was 5.5, going on 6 because he's got a late birthday. And the teacher, within earshot of my son, called him a little devil. And I'm like, that's not even reasonable. That's not a thing that, he doesn't need to hear that. I don't need to hear that. And that shows that you don't have empathy or understanding that his needs aren't being met at this moment. And yeah, is it hard to be a teacher? Yes, because the system is broken, and the system, I don't care what country in the world you're in, there is a lot of problems. There are a few countries that do incredibly well, and have the support out there for students, but at least in North America, in Canada and the US for sure, we don't have that. And so teachers are often left to deal with stuff on their own. And that makes it hard for them to deal with students who are having a difficult time, but they have to realize that it's a system and not that kid who's trying to drive them crazy. They're not doing it on purpose.
Oh, I love how you just titled that it's the system that's allowing all this to happen. And it's
Oh,
not the kid.
it's not the kid, and it's not even the teacher in a lot of cases, right? Like, occasionally, again, you've got a teacher there's a bad apple in every barrel, that's fine. And there might be a teacher out there that's causing problems or specifically doing something they shouldn't be. But on the whole, teachers are in this job to teach children and help them learn and see them grow and see what they can develop. And that's what they want. They're not out there saying, oh, by the way, I think I'm going to go and torment children today. That's not their job. That's not what they want to do. But it in a system that they have, in the system that we're given, with the funds that we're given, it's hard to do it, right? It's hard to say, this child needs something different. They need a different thing in my classroom. The school isn't providing it. The system doesn't have the money to provide it. And it's not always easy for the teacher to provide it, right? They're why should they take money out of their own pocket? Now, every year, teachers, I know at least in across Canada, the US, they do take money out of their own pocket for their kids because they want to have the best they can and they do try. Um, but that doesn't mean it works, right? It doesn't mean everything is still going to be okay.
Incredible. And I'm just sitting here going, wow, can you go to the school that's down the street from me? And I'm sure if I was a teacher or a parent going, yes, come to my school, and talk and help us through this. So with that, can you
Mhm.
tell us how your experience as a teacher, an educator, and as a parent, um, putting that together, how this shows up in your world today?
Right. So today, one of the things that I focus on, again, I'm on both sides of the fence, is I do coaching with parents where they may have children who aren't coping in the school system. What do they need? Do they need help navigating that or asking for or advocating for their child? Or do they need help within the home because they're also struggling in the home? Because often behaviors show up at home that weren't there before once school goes bad, right? We start to have some behaviors that show up because things aren't going well in one environment, and we either bring them to another environment, or the stress and anxiety or whatever that it's causing causes other problems or other difficulties. Or sometimes it's how to set up a home so that a child who has executive functioning issues can still participate and meet expectations, but help them to align those expectations better with their developmental age and their abilities at that moment. That's one stream. The second stream is for teachers, educators, administrators, that type of thing, where going into a school, going into a professional development situation where I talk to teachers and administrators about what is it like for a lot of these kids? What does it look like to them? What does a classroom look like? Um, and demonstrate sort of with them, what is your kid or what are these kids dealing with day to day, so they have a better understanding of what's going on in these kids' brains and bodies, so that they have a little bit more empathy because they can understand better if they've seen it or heard it. But also, what type of situations can they put in place within their school to help students, where that little bit of funds that they might have, what are they best to spend it on, what are they best to invest in, what are some strategies that don't cost any money that you can do to help a classroom work better and have students be successful, both themselves and the other students in the classroom, right?
And do you work virtually or just live with
Um,
parents
I
or
I prefer to do it live, in the sense of it works a lot better. I have done virtual in a couple of cases here in Nova Scotia, just because the family was not in Nova Scotia and they wanted me to speak with them. It's just easier in person. So in a house situation, it's easier if I go and see the house and see the setup and talk to the parents. Um, at a school, it's just easier because one of it is that, what does the day look like? What does it look like to that child? It's a lot easier if I'm in the room with them to reenact that, to have them reenact it, for them to see, versus online. It's a little bit harder. Does that mean I won't do online? Absolutely not. And there's certain things that lend themselves a bit better to online. Um, but I generally, it's nicer in person.
awesome. So, uh, as a parent myself and listening to what you're saying, I wish I had known someone like you when my kids were going through school. And so I know that there's parents listening right now going, I need to talk to you. You're definitely a woman I need to know. So with that, because there's a lot of golden nuggets, shall we say, that you share in your story and help to give more understanding, to get a copy of your book, how can we do that?
The best thing to do is to email me at jd@creanova.com. I think you had said that we were going to post that somewhere, so it makes it easy for people to spell it correctly. But also, there's a couple of stores. If you are in Nova Scotia, Bear River and Annapolis Royal have independent stores that sell local people's work, and physical books will be there as well.
Okay, great. I mean, you just bring such an understanding and a nice calm presence about really being able to understand, you know, both sides. You know, whether you're the educator or whether you're the parent. And I mean, your book's gone around the world. And if I'm sitting here right now in Sydney, Australia, and I love what you're saying. I mean, because fundamentally, what you're saying is the techniques and the strategies, or and that understanding that empathy is something that is global, correct?
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what country you are in the world. Children ultimately and how they learn are the same, right? And generally, one of the reasons that we can say, poor behavior in a classroom tends to be because kids, no matter what, at certain ages will do certain things. And it doesn't matter if they live in Australia, it doesn't matter if they live in England, it doesn't matter if they live in Connecticut. They're somewhat the same in that sense, right? They may have culturally slightly different understandings, um, but ultimately the behaviors and why they're doing it is the same. That doesn't change. And because it's based in child development and it's based in neurology, really is what it's based in, right? And so everybody's human, and therefore we follow a certain amount of just humaning in the same way.
Terrific, because I know that someone sitting out there right now from somewhere a little bit further from where your hometown is wanting to chat with you. So definitely get in touch. If that's you that's feeling that way, please feel free to get in touch with Jan. Jan Dunk is her name, and you can email her directly. How awesome is that? jd@creonova.com. So it's creonova.com. Go ahead, you can pick up a copy of her book, pick up maybe several copies, and hand these out to the parents of the classrooms, hand them out to the administration in the schools. This is a message worth hearing. It's a message that creates change and transformation in the lives of our most important asset, our next generation, the children. So, Jan, I want to thank you for really opening up your who you are. You know, you share that personal journey, and from how it blended in with your profession as a teacher. You share a lot of great stuff, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, so on that, since it's Wise Women Bringing Light to the World, and that is you for sure, could you leave us with some of your words of wisdom?
I think it's one that I would tell the children in my classroom is you don't know what somebody went through this morning. So give them a smile. Maybe if you know them well enough, give them a hug if you don't think they're doing well. And remember, they're not there to make a mess or to make you angry. They're just trying.
That's a powerful reminder that when we wake up and the people that we come across, we don't know how they started off their day,
No,
and to approach with kindness and compassion. Thank you.
you're welcome.
A
Thank you
beautiful
very much.
message. We must all listen to it. All right. Okay. Thanks again, Jan, for your time, for your expertise, and most thank you for your heart. Your heart. So, and we want to wish our listeners who are out there right now, wherever you are in this world, we want to wish you a great day. Until next time, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.